Good afternoon and welcome to the City Club of Eugene's July 12th, 2024 program, Downtown Safety, Perception versus Reality. My name is Andrew Kalk and I'm City Club's president. We're coming to you from our home at the 5th Street Market in the heart of downtown Eugene, and it's my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to our speakers and to all of you joining us in person, online, and over the radio. For 3 decades, the City Club of Eugene has remained dedicated to its founding mission to build community vision through open inquiry. In accordance with our mission and purpose, we hope to help connect people throughout our community and across generations, identities, experiences, and perspectives. You are invited this week and every week to join us in this effort, to share your wisdom, to learn something new, and to take active steps to make a difference in this city and region that we love. Of course, we cannot do this work alone, so a special thank you to our Platinum Community and Diamond sponsors. The Eugene Area Chamber of Commerce, serving as a catalytic leader in creating a vibrant and diverse economy that drives economic opportunity and well-being. Kaiser Permanente, which exists to provide high-quality, affordable healthcare services and to improve the health of our members and the communities we serve. More information at www.kp.org. The University of Oregon has helped Oregonians question critically, think logically, reason effectively, communicate clearly, act creatively, and live ethically since 1876. Get more information at uoregon.edu. Lane Community College transforms lives through learning. LCC provides comprehensive, accessible, high-quality educational opportunities that promote student success. For more information, visit lanecc.edu. And thank you to the City of Eugene and to Lane County for their support as well. Whether you're joining us for the first time or you're a longtime listener, I invite you to support our work by becoming an individual member, a business or community sponsor, or by volunteering to be part of our committees. You can do all those things and more at cityclubofeugene.org. When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can always go downtown. When you've got worries, all the noise and the hurry seems to help, I know. Downtown. Now, 60 years, thank you, by the way. Thank you. 60 years after Petula Clark wrote those words, we are still drawn to the neon lights, the movie shows, and the little places in America's downtowns. But many, including ours right here in Eugene, face unique challenges. And so today we're happy to welcome a terrific panel to discuss public safety downtown from a multitude of perspectives. And for that, I'll turn the mic over to Joel Corrin, the chair of the program committee and the coordinator of today's program. Joel.
You folks have many things to be thankful for, and one is that I didn't sing. About 5 years ago, before COVID, my wife Callan and I were on our way to the Metro movie theater. We had parked at the Parkade, and we crossed the street on 8th Street, and were just about to turn into the parking lot when somebody came up and came within an inch of hitting Callan. It was scary. Many people would not go downtown again, but we're from New Jersey. So we have a very vibrant downtown. We have the Shed, we have the Holt, we have the Jazz Station. We have numerous restaurants, numerous galleries, the Saturday market. There are many things to do, but none of it works if you're afraid to go downtown. People have to go downtown to have a vibrant downtown. What about you? Are you afraid to go downtown? During the day? During night? What's the perception of crime? What's the reality? That's what this program is all about. And we have a very interesting and knowledgeable panel to talk about it. Ray Brown is the incident commander in downtown. He's basically the chief cop for what happens downtown. He has been a police officer and fireman for a long time, and he earned a master's degree at the University of Oregon School of Planning, Public Policy, and Management. We also have John Fisher, a skilled carpenter, but who is here, and craftsman, but who is here today because he lives at the Tate, a building that was built and advertised as a place to live in order to be downtown. He's been on the board of the condominium, and I believe he's been president of the condominium. And we also have Katie Wilgus. Katie is the executive director of Downtown Eugene. She dealt with policies of dealing with the business community up in Portland before moving here. She is also a partner in an events planning program with a national reputation and a member of the Local Government Affairs Committee of the Chamber and the Business Leaders Task Force. Those three people will give you their three different perspectives on safety downtown. First speaker is Ray Brown.
Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to join you here at the City Club and on KLCC. I am Ray Brown, the Downtown Incident Commander of the Eugene Police Department. My focus is public safety, cleanliness, and activation of our downtown. I am here today to share some of the progress we have made downtown over the last year. Additionally, I will discuss our current activities and strategies as well as our future plans. While we all have our own biases and preconception ideas related to downtown public safety, my goal this afternoon in this short presentation is to provide some statistical information related to public safety, share some of the efforts being made, and encourage listeners to come downtown to make a personal assessment, especially if it's been a while since you visited our downtown. The Eugene Police Department substation is staffed by 7 officers, a sergeant, and a co-responder team comprised of a police officer partnered with a qualified mental health professional and an office manager. This provides dedicated officers Monday through Saturday during the day, and with Wednesday through Saturday coverage until 2 a.m. when the nightclubs close. I will be discussing EPD statistics specifically for the downtown area for the first 2 quarters of this year as they compare to the first 2 quarters of last year in 2023. Overall, the data indicates a moderate decrease in calls for service downtown compared to a year ago. In 2024, total calls for service declined by 8% to approximately 3,500 calls compared to 3,800 calls in the prior year. As we look at total calls, they're categorized into 4 main categories. We have persons crimes, property crimes, society crimes, and then Oregon-specific state crimes. And as you can well imagine, the persons crimes are crimes against another individual, and property crimes are those crimes to obtain money, property, or some other benefit, while society crimes are typically considered victimless and society's prohibition against certain activities. In downtown Eugene, our top 6 calls for service are more than 50% of our calls. And those calls fall into the social crimes category, and they are trespass, disputes, overdoses, disorderly conduct, welfare checks by officers, and beat information when the community calls in to let officers know of a situation in their community. Society crimes overall are reduced by 20%. Our property crimes are relatively unchanged, just over 300. 304 to 309. Persons crimes have increased, with the majority being within the assault category in the personal crimes. Nine additional assaults have occurred in 2024 to bring our total to 58 so far this year. This is concerning, but while this is concerning, with an increase in persons crimes, our downtown percentage of calls related to persons crimes is very similar and consistent with the rest of the state of Oregon at approximately 12%. By far, the most frequent call for service downtown is for trespassing, which makes up approximately 21% of all calls for service. We believe that safety and cleanliness are the foundation for creating a more vibrant and active downtown. To address these issues, the city has committed more resources downtown to address public safety, cleanliness, and increase the number of residents and guests who are enjoying downtown. We are completing the first year of a biennium budget in which we have made progress in the endeavor to address the City of Eugene's downtown priorities and projects list. In June of last year, I was brought on board as the Downtown Incident Commander for EPD. My role is to coordinate the resources across city departments and divisions to accomplish the city's goals as guided by the priorities and projects list. While we have made progress, there's still much more work to be done. In the spring of 2023, we could not enter the downtown library without weaving our way through significant numbers of people and structures camped in front of the library. Our city council amended camping ordinances, and through collaborative efforts, we can now enter the library easily. While calls for service indicate we still have a significant issue with trespassing, we do not have the types of large encampments from previous years that we have dealt with downtown. In addition to city council actions, EPD has put a co-responder team in service dedicated to downtown. The co-responder team is made up of police officers and a qualified mental health professional. The co-responder program is a partnership between the Eugene Police Department and Lane County Behavioral Health. They were deployed on April 15th, and since then, they contact on average approximately 6 to 7 unhoused individuals on a daily basis. And for the last quarter, they have made over 200 street contacts, with some of those being duplicates. For the vast majority of them are not. They've screened 15 potential Lane County FIT program clients, and of those 15, 7 have been enrolled into Lane County's FIT program or another Lane County Behavioral Health program or service. While it is too soon to draw any conclusions from data, we do see with the additional of this team, person stops are up 46%, welfare checks have increased by 125%, and criminal trespasses down 5%. I will monitor this closely as we move forward to determine if there is any correlation between the positive statistics and the co-responder team in their new role. But this is the first co-responder team. This is phase 1 of this trial project. Phase 2 of the co-responder program is scheduled to begin in October and is funded by a $550,000 Bureau of Justice assistance grant. Phase 2 adds an additional co-responder team, a police officer and a qualified mental health professional, and a peer support specialist to be in the field and working in downtown. The co-responders could not come at a more appropriate time. Since 2019, overdose calls have increased by more than 130%. In comparison to the first 2 quarters of 2024, the year prior, we have seen a 37% increase in overdoses. Narcan usage by officers has been on a steady climb since 2020 and likely has led to the decrease in overdose deaths. In September, House Bill 4002, the legislative alteration to Measure 110, is scheduled to go in effect and recriminalize the use and/or possession of many formerly illegal drugs. We are optimistic that the changes in legislature and alternative deployment personnel will have a positive impact downtown. In addition to dedicated officers and co-responders, we have increased the number of volunteers downtown. Our downtown has 2 main groups of dedicated volunteers that aid in our mission of keeping downtown safe, clean, and active. The main group of volunteers is the downtown support team. This team volunteers 3 days a week. They also have a presence during large sponsored events, such as the Halloween downtown. These volunteers assist with having a visible presence to deter unwanted behavior. They check in on the welfare of businesses, and they assist with maintaining our trespass letter program. The other important group of volunteers we have is the Huckleberry Patrol. They work diligently to remove graffiti from downtown. The Huckleberry Patrol coordinates their efforts with the Red Hats, which you will hear more about later in the presentation. We have also added a new rapid response clean team. This team is made up of 3 motivated people who care greatly about downtown. This cleanup crew's primary mission is to assist EPD with cleaning up messes that are often left behind by trespassers and others. They respond to requests for cleaning by city staff and perform cleaning and beautification downtown as they locate and discover problems. By the end of the summer, we will roll out Downtown Watch for public use. Downtown Watch will allow citizens to report concerns online regarding issues of trash, graffiti, camping, biohazards, or simply to investigate a problem that looks like it needs to be addressed. When the program is fully operational, the online entries will go directly to the clean team that is in the field. In the near future, we will advertise the website so that all visitors downtown can assist us in keeping downtown clean. As we work towards a safe, clean, vibrant downtown, the coordination of resources and leveraging relationships has been critical to our progress. The city's cultural services provides programming and entertainment events like the Halloween Pet Parade, events in the Farmers Market Pavilion, and many others. To ensure these events are a success, we engage the downtown support team, the clean team, EPD officers, the Red Hats, and others to ensure that the space is ready and prepared for the community to come down and enjoy the space. Through the co-responder program, we have developed a relationship with Lane County Behavioral Health, and their FIT team now comes downtown on a weekly basis to work with their current FIT clients and enroll new clientele as well. The Red Hats and the clean team come to the substation daily to brief with the office manager in order to coordinate and share information on the people and activities that are occurring downtown. We coordinate a monthly bar managers meeting with OLCC and EPD staff to ensure the nighttime bar scene is safe for all. We work with private security on schedules and patrols to ensure security in the parking structures, park blocks, and around the library are effective. As we develop partnerships and coordinate efforts, we are beginning to see progress downtown. In the last year, I have had multiple discussions with people downtown related to cleanliness. Many express that the city should simply take the same steps that they take to clean up for the World Games or the Olympic trials, and our problems would be solved. Unfortunately, there are no extraordinary efforts or additional steps taken during these events. There are simply more people engaged in positive pursuits downtown. We must start with a foundation of safe and clean. In the end, each individual will decide for themselves if they feel safe downtown. I invite all listeners to come and enjoy the farmers market twice a week, the Saturday market, or come down for a show at the Holt Center or the movie theater. Come spend an afternoon or an evening, enjoy downtown, and evaluate for yourself. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this time with us, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, John Fisher.
Hi. Well, the last time I spoke in front of this large an audience, I was giving an acceptance speech after being elected high school senior class treasurer. That speech might have been 2 sentences long, or one. My home the last 10 years has been the Tate condominiums at 1375 Olive. That's downtown. Speak into the mic? Okay, I thought I was. How's that? Is that better? Okay. The Tate was completed in 2006. Jean Tate and her partners believed that the location was ideal for residents who wanted to live within distance of downtown, walking distance of downtown businesses, parks, and cultural venues. As such, they marketed the condos as uptown living, downtown convenience. Prospective buyers were told they would only have one parking space. They didn't need a second car, as residents could walk every place. I walk every place, year-round, me and the postman. I did a bit of math in preparation for this panel. In the 6 years since my retirement in 2018, I've completed at least 3,600 downtown walks, originating and ending at the Tate. I take 2 to 3 walks most days. The longer walks take me out of the core downtown into surrounding residential downtown neighborhoods or the U of O. The shorter walks are to a handful of businesses I frequent and the Lane County Courthouse for a volunteer obligation. The vast majority of my downtown walks are uneventful and pleasant. That said, I don't go on walks wearing rose-colored glasses. Awareness of my surroundings, specifically who shares my surroundings, has increased significantly over the years since I've been a downtown walker. I'm familiar with the environment I'm in and the challenges of all people who choose to be downtown. I will reroute if there's a potential interaction ahead which could be unpleasant or dangerous. In all my years of walking, I've never been victimized or threatened. I have, on more than one occasion, had an unpleasant interaction with buckled sections of concrete sidewalks. That is a constant concern. One big fall can change everything quickly. I'll leave you with a fond memory. My mother was one of the original partners in the Tate. She was committed to helping keep downtown attractive and a desirable place to frequent. After moving to the Tate in 2006, she took special interest in the sidewalks surrounding the new library. Then, as now, it was a gathering place. On occasion, she would march from the Tate to the area around the entrance to the library with a broom and dustpan, which she dispensed to the biggest young man smoking cigarettes she could find, with firm instructions to sweep all the cigarette butts on the sidewalk. Imagine, it's crazy, right? Wouldn't do that now. But resistance was futile. And after she was satisfied, all the butts had been collected, she would escort the young man to the kiva and pay for a choice of treat. She was unwilling to see downtown mistreated and acted accordingly. In a small way, all of us who choose to walk from our homes through downtown contribute to the safety and livability of our city core. Our presence on the city sidewalks is a critical component in the complex chemistry of downtown Eugene. Streets without downtown residents or visitors on them leaves a vacuum, which sadly can be filled in the ways we've become familiar with in the past decade. Thank you for listening. And it's my pleasure to introduce Katie. She's up next.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for the invitation to speak. My name is Katie Wilgus, and as Joel mentioned, I'm the Executive Director for Downtown Eugene, Inc., commonly referred to as DEI. DEI is a not-for-profit organization founded and led by downtown property owners who share the common mission of creating a safe, vibrant, and livable downtown. The two parts of DEI that are most visible are our downtown guides, also called the red caps or red hats, and our wonderful downtown logo. In the early 1990s, a majority of downtown property owners agreed that they would pay an extra quarterly assessment if the city established a downtown service district. And City Council agreed to do so with the understanding that its purpose would be to provide concentrated advocacy, marketing, and clean and safe efforts in our downtown core. DEI was chosen as the manager of the service district. There are actually two service districts in Eugene. The second is the West University District. But there are hundreds of service districts across the U.S., mostly referred to as business improvement districts or BIDs. And that's really cool because all of us are able to connect, collaborate, share stories, and learn from one another. And I will tell you that downtown safety is pretty much the #1 hot topic everywhere. And while it's nice to feel like we're not alone, I'd rather be in the success story camp, and we're not there yet. Perception versus reality is tricky because each person's perception is their reality. I walk downtown most days, and I come from a larger city and have lived in dense urban areas. It takes a lot for me to feel like I'm in danger, and I'd have a hard time naming an instance where I felt like I was in danger in our downtown. With that said, I could walk down Broadway with somebody with a totally different life experience or lens, and we could tell two very different stories at the end. Until we're all telling similar stories, until we see more families walking with children, couples strolling, and more activity on our streets, I don't think we're doing enough. I won't dive very far into our downtown history, but I've spoken with longtime members of our community who recall safety troubles dating back many, many years. And I've heard from community members that downtown was having a real upswing prior to the pandemic. And then the pandemic. Our growing tech scene left to work at home, and they really haven't returned. We lost businesses, we lost people, and we lost the sense of place that was feeling pretty good. But here's where it gets harder for our city than for many. We have almost no housing in our downtown core. We didn't have the steady, reliable population in need of goods and services, in need of a walk, and in need of all the basics to cushion the economic blow of the pandemic. And I firmly believe that housing is one of downtown's most dire needs, best opportunities, and one of the best solutions to downtown safety. I'm curious to know how many of you in this room or listening in have visited our awesome Saturday market or farmers market or even ridden by. The buzz is electric. And guess what? People look safe. And people must feel pretty safe because they come back week after week. So what makes Saturday different? It's the people. There is safety in numbers. The exact same people who travel our streets, rest in doorways, and make noise are still there, but they blend with the vibrancy and cause less social disruption. My point is that we need the hustle and bustle of everyday life, Sunday through Friday too. And we aren't going to get that until we have a lot of housing in our downtown core, right in the heart of things. I realize we can't create tons of housing overnight, my biggest wish. So I want to touch on what we're doing right now. Ray touched on some of it as well, but it's surprising to hear how many layers of support we have in place actively working on making downtown welcoming. Our layers of support include our downtown guides, the Yellow Jackets, Cahoots, EPD officers and CSOs, our fire and medical first responders, our new mental health first responder, the Lane County Fit Team, LTD's Transit Security, DPI, who manages security for city and county properties, our new Rapid Response Clean Team, and multiple private security companies contracted by commercial property owners. Wow. And what this list doesn't include is all of the folks at the city, the chamber, the downtown Eugene merchants, the county, and even private citizens who work tirelessly to simultaneously address today's challenges and work towards a long-term vision of an economically healthy and safe downtown. And I want to say something else. All of these people really, truly care. I am continuously surprised by the compassionate, thoughtful, and ethical conduct that I routinely witness by all of these entities. So, as of today, these many layers of support that have been put into place seem to be making a difference. Our team tracks every response they make, from positive interactions with the public to combative individuals. And our positive interactions are up, and our safety-related calls are down. Not by much, but we're moving in the right direction. As a community, I think we can continue to move the needle in a positive direction, but it's going to take all of us. My hope for DEI this coming year is that we can expand our guide service, build a cleaning program, and do a better job of connecting to property owners because engagement is so important. I hope we can work with the city to advance potential placemaking projects and tackle troubled areas that are on our radar. I hope that our city councilors make big, bold steps to create the right incentives that will get developers building housing in our downtown core. And I hope our Merchants Association will continue to strengthen their business support. And I hope our community will come down and support our businesses throughout the week. I encourage all of you to question news articles that cause alarm without providing details. And know that you have a whole host of people working to make things better, to regain your trust and regain your sense of safety. Thanks.
Thank you all so much. We'll begin our question and answer in just a moment, but first I'd like to thank the business and in-kind sponsors whose support helps to make City Club possible. Thank you to our gold sponsors, Network Charter School, Hirschner Hunter LLC, Evans Elder Brown and Subert. John Brown's here with us today. Thank you, John. It's really meaningful to us to see you. Hudson Dental and Luvis Cobb. Thank you also to our in-kind sponsors, KRVM 91.9 Radio, Alpha IT, Dotson's Photography, and Kid Sports. Also a special thank you to our award-winning public radio station, KLCC FM 89.7, for airing City Club programs Monday nights at 7 p.m. For those listening at home or in the car right now, your household is one of several thousand tuning into City Club on KLCC, and we love that you are here. You can also find all recent City Club programs archived on KLCC, as well as on our YouTube channel and as podcasts. We'll take a brief break before returning with question and answer. Thank you.
Question and answers? Go ahead, ask a question.
Hi, everyone. As Katie mentioned, many communities beyond ours are having issues or challenges in their downtowns. And something that I have seen in many downtowns is the creation of downtown action plans that go beyond just the city's goals, but are collaborative plans where many partners could be working under the same vision. Does such a plan exist in Eugene, or if not, what would it take to make one?
And can you tell us your name, please?
Oh, I'm Kelly Johnson, City Club Board Member.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. I think that's actually going to happen very soon. Look for an RFP in August.
Hi, I'm Susan Conley. I'm a former member, returning member. Thank you all so much for being here. What I'm wondering is, I live downtown. I love downtown. It's like, where'd you go, Mr. Fisher? And I walk downtown a lot too, and I'm not afraid. But, you know, the other day I was walking down there in broad daylight. There was a man on Broadway with his pants down to his knees, asleep on the sidewalk with his bottom showing. And I looked at it and I thought, now, I don't care so much, but I know a lot of people do. And I hear from neighbors all the time about how they're afraid to come downtown. So at that point, I just kind of wonder what to do. I mean, I call all the time about these problems, but when you have a man asleep on the sidewalk with his pants down, who do you call, and will somebody come? I mean, neighbors really want this cleaned up. They've had it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray Brown. One of the things that is going to help with that is our co-responder team. One of the largest problems we deal with downtown is the chronic mental health issues and the substance abuse disorders, which lead to some of these behaviors. And while challenging, those need to be called in the non-emergency line, and those are the things that lead to welfare checks where officers or whoever's most appropriately suited and in the area can address those issues as they come up. Thank you.
But what happens then? What happens when somebody comes? What will you do for that man with his pants down?
The question was, what do you do if the call comes in?
Yeah, so the question was if, once the call comes in, what do we do with this person upon arrival to the scene? Well, they'll be evaluated. Is this a medical issue? Is this an intoxication issue? What's the most appropriate? Do they need to go to the emergency room? Can we get them up on their way and off to something more productive? But those are very challenging problems to deal with.
You're on. I knew you had another question.
I know, I had one more. Kelly Johnson. It was mentioned that there was a Phase 2 initiative that was grant funded, and I think something that has happened before, or there are sometimes initiatives that are grant funded, and then once that funding runs out, they just have to disappear. Is there any plans on how we could continue funding for some of these initiatives after grant funding is completed?
Ray Brown. First off, we're working on getting the pilot project up and running and going. And the plan, based on the success other communities have had with co-responder programs and helping people find better ways through life and into housing, through treatment programs, those are very helpful in other areas. And we're confident we're going to have a similar with our pilot program. And once we have proven results, I think the funding will be available.
I'll just add that right now, our decline in numbers directly correlates to that program coming online. So having other numbers like that, I think, will definitely back up and help strengthen the chances of it coming back.
Mary Layton?
Except now I have two questions.
That's
Just
all right.
following up.
We have time.
Following up, are the people concerned getting trained? I just keep thinking of a time when I was assistant principal and the counselor at the same time, and I had to ask a kid, am I supposed to be counseling you or yelling at you? But officers of the law have training to do certain things. Are the people encountering these folks getting training in how to find a good solution?
Yes, they have excellent de-escalation skills. They are in tune with the services provided, our local service providers. They work through community court and the service provider room there, and they help do screenings to get people into the proper programs that they need to find them some help.
Cool. I just know it doesn't automatically come to some of us. So my real question was about housing. We're desperately in need of housing at every price point. Are there plans in the works to convert some of the upper stories or some of the empty lots into housing so we could have more people downtown?
I don't know of any current plans for conversions at the moment. Conversions are harder than brand new buildings. I think the city staff has been working hard at identifying some city-owned properties and maybe even a county-owned property that would be prime for development.
And the city is looking into other areas of incentive for downtown housing. I don't think they're ready to announce anything yet, but the city council and city staff are looking into it.
Andrew Kallick, this is a follow-up to that, actually. There have been a lot of parking lots that have popped up in Eugene's downtown over the last half century or so. It's amazing to look at a map of Eugene's downtown in the 40s, say, compared to now. There's just a lot more space dedicated to cars now. And I wondered if any of you had an opinion on transforming some of that space to a more active use, whether it's mixed use, residential, or otherwise. Thanks.
Do you want to speak to that? Would you like me to? Well, flat parking lots aren't very attractive to visitors downtown. Pretty ugly, right? At the same time, people are not totally ready to give up their vehicles. So I think there is a chance that flat lots could be transformed into housing, but we also need to remember that people do want to park downtown. So it's a tough call.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kellyanne Stiles. I'm the mother and grandmother of victims of child abuse, sex trafficking, extreme domestic violence, various things. So I now volunteer for various organizations that try to raise awareness, support. And as a person with disability, fibromyalgia, I do walk and ride the bus in downtown Eugene. And so I've experienced attempts to be beaten and raped by people. Thankfully, usually they say it out loud, and I quickly get video and photo and use my second phone to call the police, or other people came to my rescue, and then I've reported things. And so for the most part, I personally feel a little bit safer because I'm always looking out for safety cameras, security cameras, and I noticed that EPD has a lot more out there, and I believe it has reduced some of the problems that used to be in the past when they thought no one could see and get away with. But I would like to know how many of the police and the city officials are actually trained about sex trafficking awareness and are aware of the resources that are available to help people like my daughter who was trafficked in downtown Eugene and various places around America. And how can we get that out to the public? Because there is sex trafficking that happens downtown at the bars and at the events. And I've even been approached by people, even on the LTD bus station area. So. And I know LTD is aware of it, but I'm just wondering how much the police are actively doing to train all of their officers, staff, 911 callers, and then the city also. I believe that everyone needs to attend sex trafficking awareness trainings or go online to the FBI websites and DHS Homeland Security Blue campaign too. And thank you for your time.
Ray?
Thank you, Ray Brown. The EPD has, they train every month on a variety of law enforcement topics, and this is one of the topics that they train on. We also have street crimes units who focus in these areas, as well as our violent crimes unit at EPD that work in these areas. Thank you.
But what are the resources? Once you identify the signs of the survivor, especially when, like my daughter, she wasn't willing to say anything because she's surrounded by those people. What are the resources once you identify that person? Because they no longer arrest them now for prostitution, but they recognize to identify that person in this scenario?
The criminal justice system has victims advocates within the court system that help out victims and help them get to the needs that they need, help them find the counseling, and help them work through their court cases as well. And so,
Ma'am, can we get to the next question? Actually, John's a victim advocate.
Yeah, that's the sex trafficking, excuse John Fisher. So I am a volunteer victim advocate, but the sex trafficking part of victim advocacy is not something that I address personally. I'm working with protective orders primarily.
John?
John Brown. By perspective, I've been in Eugene since 1950. I've been downtown for over 40 years, both as a tenant and a property owner. My question is about Oakway Center is a very, very vibrant, successful area, and and no vacancy. Rents are 4 times as they are downtown. What do you think the difference is? Why is there such a difference? They don't have these problems. They don't have these levels, these costs of security and oversight. Same thing with the Fifth Street Market area, not as much, but why would you think that we have such a problem downtown and we don't have it in these other geographic areas?
Ray Brown. Those 2 specific areas, Oakway Mall, 5th Street, those are predominantly significant amounts of private property in those areas. Downtown, we have a mix of, it's a lot of public right-of-way, intermixed with smaller private property, large in the sense that they may take up a quarter of a block. However, compared to Oakway Center or 5th Street, they're much smaller with significant amounts of public easements and access. And so I believe that, it's my opinion that that creates an additional challenge downtown, which is not present in those other locations.
Do Oakway and Fifth Street have their own security forces?
Yes, they do.
Betty?
Betty Taylor, City Club member since 1990, the very beginning. My question, I have a 2-part question. Do you think there are enough places to sit downtown? And what do you think about free parking, which we had from time to time? Thank you.
John, do you want to start with the sitting question since you're a resident?
Okay. Well, I think I'm sure how to address the sitting question. So I'm not sure there's enough. I can't really say one way or the other. So.
Yeah, I guess I honestly hadn't given it thought, but I think you're right. I think there could be more seating around downtown. And the second part of the question? Free parking. Well, the awesome news is we have 1 hour of free parking in every city garage. So there is some level of free parking still available to people. Free parking is an interesting idea, and I think one that the city could consider.
Anyone else? Sandra?
I was waiting for more answer before I asked the question. A little bit of background. I lived a couple blocks west of downtown for about 45 years, and it was not a scary place. But over the decades, word got out that, oh, it's dangerous in downtown. This is 20, 30 years ago. So subsequently, the apartment building next to the place where I lived went from being a place where older people would downsize and rent an apartment there to be downtown. It had very large 2-bedroom apartments. You know, that doesn't happen anymore. That went to younger working people or university people because of the myth that got going that it was scary downtown. Well, now it is more dangerous, but I still am not afraid walking in downtown any time of day or night. I tell the neighbors and people that say, oh, I'm afraid I can't walk block to my car, I say, well, I'm the scariest person in my neighborhood downtown, so, I'll walk you to your car. But no joke, there's a huge mental health crisis. That's part of the problem. But I think the elephant in the room, what nobody's talking about, the crux of a lot of the problems are city ordinances or lack thereof. There are very few other cities in Oregon where you can have a person camping in front and blocking a doorway, and there's no city ordinance that anyone can use to have that person move immediately. And a lot of times it seems like the errant camping in the parking strips and that kind of thing, it's not people with families, it's not the homeless that want services, it's young males who really are getting on the border of a lawlessness that needs to be dealt with. So can you talk about when the different security people downtown are interacting with people, are they trained, and how are they trained, or how are they advised of the regulations and the laws, because they change or they're lacking? So how is there any uniform application of security?
Ray, you want to start off with that?
So I can talk about the training for the downtown guides. We are required by state to have DPSST training. We look at our
Could you
guides.
explain what DPSST is? Or
Yes.
Department of Public Safety and Standards.
Thank you.
Thanks. So we view our guides as de-escalators. They do have the ability to arrest somebody until the police arrive. They do carry spray for protection, but the amount of times those have ever been pulled out are next to none. If they have somebody who's trespassing and they've been called for a trespass, they know the rules that a property must have a no trespass letter on file with the city. So there is that level already in place. If it's in place, then they can ask the person to kindly move to another place. It won't be done by force. Our guys will stand back and have a conversation with that people, and they will wait. And I will tell you that I've seen them wait patiently and be yelled at for 30 minutes, and they will wait and wait quietly. But eventually that person will move on. If they don't, they have a very direct connection with EPD, who can also step in and add some enforcement if needed.
Katie,
What do you want to?
if I understand you correctly, homeowners or property owners have to file a letter with the city in order to have a no trespass effectiveness?
That's partially correct. The purpose of the trespass letter is for the property owner to give consent to the city employee, the police officer, or the security to access onto property and act on your behalf as the owner being absent from a location. It alleviates the owner from having the need to be on site. However, if there's no trespass letter and the owner is on site or the person responsible for the property, they can simply let the officer know or the security guard know. I've made contact. I've asked them to leave. They're refusing. Please deal with them.
Is the requirement for the letter well publicized?
It's not a requirement, it's an option.
But the requirement for a letter in order to act when the owner's not there, is that well publicized to homeowners?
It is on the city website. I don't know that it is marketed, but we educate people as we talk to them about trespassing.
Thank you. Paul?
Thank you for coming today. It's been very informative. I'm Paul Thompson, a City Club member for decades, and this is a program about perception and reality. I have a perception that there is less of a problem in Springfield than there is in Eugene. Would you comment on whether that's a reality? And if so, what contributes to the fact that Springfield might not have as much of a problem as Eugene does?
Don't all jump at once to answer that question. Somebody?
Ray Brown. So the question is it perception or reality that it is different in Springfield than Eugene? My experience is that it is different, and I think different cities have different laws, different ordinances. The way they enforce their ordinances, city and state law can vary, and that can influence the outcomes.
So how would we change what goes on in Eugene to emulate what's happening in Springfield?
I would say that is around city council, district prosecution, the way the city deals with criminal activity on both sides of the I-5.
A follow-up question to Paul's question. Can you give us an example of a difference between how something would be reacted to in Springfield versus Eugene? Because I've heard the same thing about Springfield. I'm just curious.
No, I cannot give you a specific. I don't know Springfield's ordinances and laws, and I wouldn't be able to compare the two.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So the question I really wanted to ask was, it seems to a lot of us, including me, that a majority of the homeless folks have mental illness. It's a serious, serious problem. Yet I know that it's on a state level that apparently there's difficulties in getting people put in for treatment. What can we do to encourage the state to somehow try to change that? I think it's cruel for people to be cold and hungry and wandering the streets screaming, obviously mentally ill. I feel like there's got to be a way that these folks get treatment without them agreeing to it sometimes. And so what could we do in the city to get the state to change that? I think it's a state problem. Thanks.
Yes, we have moved away from incarcerating people with mental health challenges, and I agree that sometimes some people cannot care for themselves due to mental illness and substance abuse disorders, and I've seen scenarios where it would be more humane and compassionate to have them at a location where they are secured outside of the public. And to address that with council and your local leaders and your legislators at the state would be the way to address that.
I have one quick follow-up for Ray. In your initial comments, you spoke about in phase 2, there'll be teams made up of a police officer, a mental health worker, and a peer support specialist. What is a peer support specialist?
A peer support specialist is someone who doesn't have quite as much training as a qualified mental health professional, and they have lived experience having been through many of the challenges of the people that they will be counseling.
So people who have been out on the street.
Correct.
Okay. That about wraps up the time we have for questions and answers. Andrew?
Thank you, Joel. Please join me in thanking our panel. This has been our July 12th conversation at the City Club of Eugene. Next week, we'll be back here at the Maple Room for part 2 of our healthcare series, when we'll welcome Oregon House Majority Leader Ben Bowman, Representative Nancy Nathanson, and others to discuss healthcare corporatization and the legislative efforts to address the issue here in Oregon. Thank you all for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend.